Story 1: Drained Silence. I'm 19 and home from university, spending a weekend at my parents' place in a quiet lakeside town. My older sister, Anna, had been acting differently lately, distant, anxious, so I offered to drive her into town on a Saturday evening. We shared laughs and coffee, just trying to reconnect. Then she didn't return. That night around midnight, our mom called. Anna texted, "I'm fine, just meeting someone." But the text sounded off. It didn't match her usual warmth. Something was wrong. I called 911 at 12:13 a.m. I told them Anna was missing, heading to the gas station but not returning. The dispatcher said, "Was she threatened? Lost? Do you think she's in danger?" I said, "Yes, please check for her." They promised an officer would arrive within the hour. 20 hours later, nothing. No car pulling up. No calls, just silence from the other end. On Sunday, while searching near the gas station, I saw Anna's phone lying in the drainage ditch. I held it. She'd sent one photo, a dark shadow under a bridge, a road in mist. No face, no caption. I felt sick. I called 911 again. This time the dispatcher sighed, "We'll file it as missing. Someone will call you." No urgency, no empathy. By Tuesday, I'd quit my part-time job. We combed the shoreline, barns, deep forest. At the local park, I nearly stepped in something stiff behind thick reeds, hair. I recoiled, didn't investigate. Later that evening, I heard someone at the diner say they spotted something drifting near the far side of the lake. They wouldn't describe it, just said it made them feel sick and cold inside. He reported it. Cops came the next afternoon and left without diving. No one followed up on the sighting or the drainage ditch photo. Thursday midnight, my dad and I drove to the pier carrying flashlights. Our beams slipped across the still water, no movement. Then I heard it, a soft splashing, distant. A low voice whisper, "Help me." I shined the light toward the sound. My father froze. "Let's go," he whispered. We left. No sirens, no police waiting. 10 days later, we found something that confirmed our worst fears. The search ended, but the silence didn't. No ID, just her phone, recovered by the coroner. The official report called it an accident, said she had fallen into the water. No signs of anything suspicious. They gave vague reassurance, but that photo of a dark figure, the ditch water, the whispers, they never investigated. Was Anna followed? Who sent that vague, sinister photograph? Why did the police shrug it off? Time, resources, or something darker? The water remained still. The shadows beneath unreachable, and despite what was found, the real mystery, what hunted her, is still out there. Because when the police don't help, darkness grows louder, closer, and more dangerous. What do you think really happened? Story 2: I was arrested for reporting a break-in. I thought safety meant locking the door and trusting the badge. I was wrong. A year ago, I rented a small lakeside cottage for the summer. It seemed perfect. Secluded, serene, with nothing but trees and water for company. I lived there alone, happy to escape the city noise and finally start writing. But after a few weeks, something changed. One evening, I awoke to a sharp sound from downstairs, like furniture scraping. I froze, listening. Silence followed. I grabbed my phone and called the police. They arrived, found nothing, no signs of forced entry, no footprints, no disturbance. They left after a few perfunctory glances. "Call us if it happens again," one cop said. I brushed it off, maybe an animal, maybe my imagination. A week later, I returned from town to find my cottage behind me quiet, too quiet. I walked in. The front door was open. A book lay sprawled on the floor, and a lone, battered chair sat in the middle of the living room, as if someone had just stood up and left. My heart skipped. I stormed back to my car, dialed 911 immediately. This time, I was frantic. I showed the officers the scene, the open door, the moved chair, and they took me to the station to record my report. Then things got surreal. At the station, they questioned me as if I was the intruder. I explained my night. I told them about the chair, the open door, the unplugged lamp. They scribbled notes, said they couldn't find fingerprints or forced entry signs. One officer looked up and said, "You taped him yourself, right? To make it look like someone broke in so you could claim fear." I stared, mouth dry. He continued, "Without proof, we have to treat this as possible fabrication." Before I knew it, I was cuffed, not as a victim, but as a suspect. That's when the charges came. 4 counts of intentional harm resulting in death, based on my own computer's video files and the scene in my mother's basement cottage. They claimed I had staged the intruder and used bright lights to fake the entire break-in. They even said I had injured myself just to make it look like self-defense. All I could think was, how did my call for help turn into a criminal case? No one believed me. My lawyer called them psychos for siding against me so fast. I was in jail awaiting trial, terrified not just of the charges, but of the unseen watcher who still haunted the cottage. I got one letter from someone anonymous, claiming others had noticed odd cult-like rituals at my cottage, but police dismissed it as fan mail. The worst, no police investigator ever returned to the scene. No cameras were installed. It was as if once I became the suspect, everything else vanished. 2 nights ago, I was released on bail. I can't go back to the cottage. I can barely sleep. Every creak, every shadow makes my chest tighten. The watcher, wherever they are, still isn't caught. The police never found them. They didn't want to. Now I'm left wondering, was I framed, or was I already in danger? And the worst part, I'm still being watched. If you were in my shoes, framed by paranoia, unprotected by law enforcement, and haunted by a silent observer, what would you do? Story 3: Officer's Identity. I was working late-night shifts at a convenience store just outside Phoenix. I just turned 22, still living alone in my first apartment. It wasn't fancy, just a small one-bedroom in a quiet complex tucked behind a strip mall. My schedule was chaos. I'd get off work around 3 a.m., drive home, eat something cheap, and scroll myself to sleep. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. The trouble started the night I saw him. It was 3:18 a.m. I just pulled into my parking space and was stepping out of the car when I noticed a man standing under the street lamp across the lot. Uniformed, tall, still, he looked like a cop, blue shirt, belt, flashlight in hand, but he wasn't doing anything, just watching. I gave a polite nod and walked inside quickly. The door locked behind me, but I peeked through the peephole. He was gone. The next night, same time, I got home. As I was unlocking the door, I heard footsteps. Turning, I saw him again, this time closer. "Evening, ma'am," he said. His voice was calm, but there was something wrong with his tone, flat, practiced. "Is everything all right?" I asked. He smiled slightly. "We've had some break-ins, just checking on folks in the area." It felt like a line, rehearsed. He didn't ask for ID, didn't flash a badge. "Thanks," I said and ducked inside. The next day, I called the local station. There wasn't any officer patrolling that neighborhood, the woman on the line said. I felt cold all over. "So, who was that?" "Probably nothing," she said. "We'll make a note. Let us know if he shows up again." No report, no follow-up. I hung up, heart racing. He didn't come back for a week. Then the knock again. Tap, tap. I didn't look. I locked myself in the bathroom with a knife and waited till sunrise. I ordered a doorbell camera, installed it myself. I told work I was switching to day shifts. They resisted, but I didn't care. The camera caught nothing for days. Then one night, a motion alert, 3:03 a.m. A man in a police uniform stands at my door, but not facing the camera. He's turned to the side like he knows where the lens is, and he's just standing there for 38 minutes. Then he walks off, not down the hall, just out of frame. I brought the footage to the station. The officer at the desk watched the clip, then looked at me blankly. "Could be a prank," he said. "Halloween's not far." It was August. I asked if they could ID the uniform. He just shrugged. "You should talk to management, maybe get new locks." A few nights later, I moved to a friend's place temporarily. I left the camera running just in case. When I came back a week later to collect more things, I found a folded paper tucked under the doormat. No writing, just a drawing, a door, slightly open, and 2 eyes staring through the crack. I moved out 3 weeks later. No one ever identified the man. Police filed no reports. No one at the station remembered the complaint, but I remember the way he spoke, not like an officer, like someone pretending to be one. And I still wonder, what would have happened if I had opened the door, or worse, if I hadn't closed it in time?